Hi guys, Henry here from Invest. Hi guys, Henry here from Investment for Expats. So today I just wanted to go over some of the top residency programs that are for Middle Eastern and Indian citizens looking to relocate. We put more of an emphasis on freedom of the country rather than tax efficiency, although there is some tax efficient options in there. Won't go over all of them in detail because there's a lot of detail to go into. Just go over some of the basics. So hopefully it gives you an idea of what options are out there and what are the kind of minimum requirements, because all of these are kind of investor related. They don't have the kind of neutralization programs which you would have it in South America, say for example, as your Paraguays, etc. These are more your quote unquote tier one countries that have freedom, they develop markets, they have good infrastructure and good regulations that particularly a lot of Middle Eastern and Indian clients may want to go to. So we'll go over them in brief and hopefully you find it a bit useful. We have missed a few out, so we've just gone to cover the main ones where a lot of kind of high net worths are moving to in 2022. So first one is New Zealand. Again, New Zealand very popular with people relocating to. It's got an attractive location. If you want to get out of the way, it's out of the way. It's got a small population of around 4 or 5 million people. Very popular. A lot of people moving there. Chinese real estate is quite expensive there because it has been just had an influxation. But again, what are the benefits of it? You've got a good developed economy, very stable, and very free, and also if you like the nature side, it's got a lot of that. So what are the requirements? So you've got two options. Investor one is where you do around 10 million New Zealand dollars in a 3 year in order to apply for the residence. No age limit, no language requirements. So it's actually quite easy. This is why a lot of are going into the New Zealand program for the high net worth. The other one is where you put $3 million into certain assets. These are normally bonds or certain business infrastructure, and this is based on it. And you also have to pass a points-based system on this. So again, just the two options. You've got 10 million. You can just invest over a 3 year time period. Again, it can be in bonds, so you can get something, particularly in this high yield environment. It's maybe a feasible option. The other option is based on a points-based system. Again, we'll go over this in more detail specifically in later videos, but 3 million New Zealand dollars over that, and also you can neutralize into citizenship as well, so it's good news on that front. Next one is the US of A. Again, very popular as well because it's freedom of speech. For a lot of Indian, Middle Eastern clients that do want to get there, obviously it's well known for being the largest economy in the world, very powerful infrastructure, and again, like I said, it's quote unquote a democracy. So what are the requirements for the US of A? You need to either put 1.05 million into a non-targeted employment area, so this is just investing it into a kind of deprived area. 800,000 into a rural area, or create 10 permanent full-time jobs for qualified US workers. So again, if you've got the money, you can get this. Put just over $1 million into a non-targeted employment scheme area. That'll help you get the green card. Again, you can get neutralization into citizenship after 5 years, presuming you've lived there for 30 months out of those 5 years. So again, it can work to US citizenship. Strong passport, not the top one, but it's a very strong passport compared to what you might have in other countries. Another popular one is its kind of northern neighbor, Canada. Again, it's got good infrastructure, freedom of speech, and a lot of people refer to it as kind of the United States light, with a lot of the good parts of the United States. You see a lot of people moving to Canada from the Middle East, China, India. A lot of people are moving here, so it's got to be doing something right. If you look at the positive of this, population of around 30, 40 million, and it's the size of the US that has 350 million. Even the UK has 70 million, and it's a fraction of the size. So it needs to bring in people, and it's looking to do this from immigration. Canada's being quite open with this, and yeah, it's got quite an open policy. So to obtain this, you need there's a few different requirements. There's an angel where you can just put 75,000 Canadians into a business, venture capital of 200,000 into a venture capital fund. Also, won't get into too much detail on this specific one, but there's schemes like the Quebec scheme that are very popular, and they're always kind of changing different schemes, and different provinces have different schemes. We'll go over this more in a later video in detail on the Canada specific scheme, but just very generic. There's a 75,000 Canadian into an angel investment group, or 200,000 into a venture capital group. Next one, Australia, for very similar reasons. Large landmass, low population, high quality of living, high GDP per capita, good climate in it as well. Australia's very attractive as well for a lot of people to go. You've got a few options here. Normal one is the second one, the investor, 2.5 million Oz into a managed investment fund. These are normally kind of bonds, Australian-based bonds, although you can do it for less if you're looking for a points-based system, where you can invest just 750,000 and have net assets of 1.225 million Australian. Again, it's a point-based system, so you will have to meet certain criteria on this. So this is why 2.5 million Australian is more popular option for a lot of clientele. There's also another one for the high net worth, is the 5 million into an Australian investment fund for the duration of your ability to stay throughout in Australia. So again, that's quite a significant one to put down, and one mainly thinking, but there's a few options there for you in Australia. So again, it is quite open on that. UAE, again, what we haven't talked about is a lot of tax efficiency. A lot of these Western countries have been quite high tax. There is ways to mitigate them. In particular, New Zealand has a kind of offshore tax place scheme if set up right, very similar to the UK that has one as well, where you can just pay a set tax. The UAE is obviously renowned for having zero tax on this, and it's also very strategically centered in kind of middle part. So a lot of people are moving there that have offices around the world. It's strategically placed within kind of middle part of the world. So from that point of view, very forward looking in its aspirations. You look where it's come from, where it's looking to go, what it's doing. There's a reason why a lot of people are moving to the UAE, both Western and Middle Eastern and Asian as well. High net worth. It's been, in fact, I had a look, I think it's Vision Capitalist most moved to place for ultra high net worths in 2022. A lot of Russians, Ukrainians, understandably moving to the UAE. Some of the options here: minimum deposit of around, of 2 million AED, around 550,000 USD in credit investment fund in the UAE. Minimal capital of 2 million AED, again around 550,000 USD approximately, into a company with a valid commercial paper, valid commercial or industrial license, or a minimum of taxes of 250,000 AED, approximately 70,000 US dollars in a company. This will allow you to get a 10-year visa. It's also a real estate option, which you can invest 2 million AED into Dubai real estate registration program. Again, UAE is quite a popular destination. It's getting more open as well. It wants to attract top talent. So I would urge a lot of people to make use of this scheme whilst it's there, because the investments are a lot lower for one than you'd see in a lot of the developed. You've seen, for example, for Canada, Australia, etc. And it's also very forward-thinking place. Going on to kind of its Asia-Pacific rival, Singapore. Again, low taxation, quality of life, high GDP. Ultra high net worths are moving there in mass, especially in 2022 with kind of, you've seen the denial of Hong Kong. A lot of people have kind of entered into Singapore as an alternative option. Some of the options here for the investment is 2.5 million Sing, give or take around 2 million US. You have to look at the currency exchange at this time. It's been, but around 2.5 million into a new business. Invest at least 2.5 into a approved investment fund, Singapore-based companies, plus a business plan. This is an interesting one for high net worth. An investment of 2.5 million Sing used to establish a single family office into Singapore, which is required to have assets under management of at least 200 million Sing dollars, minimum of 50 million of assets in Singapore, and SGD 100 million in offshore assets. So this is quite an interesting one. You can set up a family office in Singapore as a way to get residency as well. Also, just to note on the Singapore, you can give, can lead to permanent resident, can lead to citizenship, although it doesn't allow for dual citizenship, so you might have to give up your passport that you're presently holding. So again, this is just a few options that we've gone through here. We haven't gone into really too much detail into any particular country. It's just a few options that you may be looking to move to, giving some of the more popular ones. If you have got any questions, feel free to email me at info@investmentforexpats.com.